Will we continue to embrace truth, justice, peace, and a path to prosperity? I believe that America's best days can still be ahead, and I want to lead us forward. Join me now in the Reid Revolution. Lunchtime edition of the Reid Revolution. Very glad to have you with us here on this Tuesday. I'm John Reid, and lots to talk about today. I went to bed last night. I didn't know that I would wake up this morning to every leftist group in America promoting trans folks. And, this is an uncomfortable situation for me. As a gay man, the last thing I want to do is just be a total jerk about this. But I have to tell you, I'm not on board with this trans movement. If you heard me speak last year, I respect adults and their decisions, whether I think they're sane or not. It's not my place, whether it's me as an individual or as a candidate or as an elected official, to go around and tell everybody what they have to do with their life. If you are, quite frankly, foolish enough to chop off your penis and testicles, and you're over the age of 18, I would warn you as a human being. I would say, I think you're making a big mistake here. I don't think you should chop your testicles off. And if you're a woman, I don't think you should remove your reproductive organs and chop your breasts off. I think you might regret that, especially if you're a young person. And I would encourage you to spend some time thinking about this before you do it. Maybe talk to some people who are outside of the radical, crazy part of the gay community. There are some reasonable, rational people still left in that community. Maybe you should talk to those people before you do something that drastic. But ultimately, I have lots of friends who have made really bad decisions, and I warned them, you're about to make a really bad decision, and they still did it. And in most cases, they're suffering from those really bad decisions. So, I know my role. My role as a friend is to tell people who ask, and if I'm a close enough friend, to kind of intervene and say, hey, I want to raise a flag for you. That's not my role here on the radio or on the broadcast or, as an elected official. I'm not here to save everybody from their own stupid mistakes. I have to tell you, though, when it comes to kids, this is the real problem. The gay community that I was a part of 20, 30 years ago recognized that the issue with engaging with other people's children is a deal breaker. People want to raise their own children. They do not want their children talked to or converted, or they don't want grooming. They don't want it. They really would prefer that you not share anything about your personal life, honestly, gay or straight, with their kids. Let mom and dad deal with that. Let the community, whatever community they're involved in, whether it's a church or something else, let them engage in it. You should keep some things private. I respect that. No matter who you are, I respect that. I don't think you should be proselytizing anything to other people's children. And this is where we've gotten into this mess, is that the gay community does not seem to respect that boundary anymore. And I think people are very resentful, and I don't blame them for being resentful. And especially, it's one thing when you're talking about the gay and lesbian issue. Now you're talking about people who are dressed up in costume, pretending to be something that they're not. And that is the trans movement. I said frequently on the radio when I was a radio host, but perhaps you missed it, and I want to repeat it because I think it's important. I can work with just about anybody and their feelings. So if you were to say, hey, John, I am a male, but, I'm kind of effeminate and I feel, attracted to these traits and characteristics that are generally associated with women. Okay. I'm not going to beat you up. I'm not going to insult you. I'm not going to try to harm you. I hope that you will conduct yourself in a dignified way where it's not a constant problem. You're not a distraction to other people. And what I can't do, though, is validate something that is factually and scientifically and biologically not true. That crosses the line to me. If you're a woman and you want to play softball and you want to drive a Subaru and you want to go to the Dinosaur Classic and you're okay. Who am I to say what's an appropriate way for a woman to carry herself? And if you're a guy and you want to, I'm bringing up stereotypes which will upset people, but if you're a guy and you paint your fingernails or you're effeminate, that's not my business. That's your business. And quite frankly, I may lean over and say something to Alonzo, but it's not. I don't need to insult someone. I don't need to judge you. You got your own set of issues. We all have our own set of issues. I would appreciate if you don't judge me. We can make a deal on that. But what we can't do is have you decide personally that you're going to come into the locker room that my mother is changing in or my sister's changing in. That's a deal breaker if you're a male. If you are a biological male, that's a deal breaker because I still believe that women deserve that kind of privacy. Women are uniquely vulnerable to aggressive men, even if they're wearing a costume, pretending to be a woman. They're vulnerable to aggressive men. And I think a gay, straight, Christian, Jew, whoever you are, you should stand up and protect those private spaces on behalf of the women in your life. If you are a competitive athlete, and I've had family members around me who have been very good athletes, and the women in my family have worked very hard to be successful. They are biologically different from men, and the opportunities they have to compete for awards and scholarships and standing, they had to fight for that. Previous generations of women had to fight for that. So why would I even consider allowing a biological man to take those opportunities? And it's weird, and it's so disingenuous. The trans community constantly says, well, there are very few people who are competing. Well, that's not true. It's crazy here in Central Virginia. There have been a number of cases where there have been trans individuals or people who are trying to pass themselves off as the other sex, who want to compete in different sports, want to use the wrong restroom, want to go into the locker room. And, I think adults need to say, we're not putting up with this. We're not putting up with this. You are what you are, and we will deal with your emotions and your feelings, but we're not going to allow you to violate the privacy of other people, other women. We're just not going to do it. I think we should hold the line at that. And so on this Trans Visibility Day, they say that there are very few people who are actively stealing opportunities from female athletes, but then they say, oh, you should be aware trans people are everywhere. There's certainly more trans people today because this is a psychological contagion. This is a social contagion. We have, for some reason, decided that this is an acceptable way to get attention. And I think people who are mentally ill look for ways to get attention. And somebody's got to say no. And I'm willing to do it. I'm in a minority community. And unfortunately, for 30 years, I've had a front row seat to watch this insanity unfold, to watch people that I know and care about have really bad things happen in their lives. In some cases, at least two people I know who were cross-dressers, then full trans, have committed suicide. This is not fun. This is not good. It is mental illness. And we are, for some reason, foolish enough as a people to indulge it. And we shouldn't indulge it anymore. I know that's not what everybody wants to hear or expects to hear on Trans Day of Visibility. But I think it needs to be said. And I have standing to talk about it as a gay guy and as somebody who's seen this up close, and I intend to talk about it because I think we're losing our society over something that's ridiculous. For thousands of years, there has not been a question about who's male and who's female. It's a pretty simple question to answer in 99.99999% of the human beings that have been on Earth. And for some reason, we're indulging this really, really foolish concept. And I actually think that this is a part of a plan to collapse normalcy in society. That if you can get men to think that they're women and you can get women to defend that and you can confuse everybody over something that's not confusing, then the society is 50% collapsed already. And I'm going to do my part to stand up against it. I pulled a couple of things that I wanted to share with you. I think producer Dan's got them. One of them, God, here's, I think, a man who has either gotten plastic surgery or has done a heck of a job with makeup. And look at this question that's posed on Instagram. If you found out I was trans halfway through our dinner date, would you stay? I mean, look, this is somebody in costume. Presumably, if this is in fact a man, this is somebody in costume. And I don't know what whether you've discovered that your wife can put on makeup and suddenly transform in some ways, but I'm not impressed by people who can turn themselves into something else by putting on makeup or wearing feminine clothes. I mean, this person's, if this is a biological male, this person's all in, right? They've lost the weight. It looks like they've had some surgery. You're still a man. And, I am not, I guess I don't have a strong opinion about this, but if you tricked me into going on a date and I found out that you had lied to me and you were deliberately deceiving me, well, see, this is where the hate crimes happen. And I'm not sure that I would call them hate crimes, because when you deceive people, you shouldn't be surprised if they have a visceral negative reaction to what you're doing. And I used to tell people in Washington, I was like, yeah, you know what? I would be careful about being a gay guy and going and hanging out in a straight bar and trying to pick up straight guys. That's not cool. I don't, I know you feel like you're invincible, and I know you feel like everybody has an open mind, but if you are misleading people, that's not a good thing to do. And don't be surprised if someone feels very deceived at a very intimate level and they punch you in the face. And if you are someone like this person, who, again, I presume is I think the point of this is they're a male and they really do look a lot like a female, and you go on a date with this person and you wind up maybe going back to their place and undressing and find out it's a man, I don't think it's ever right to harm other people. But I got to tell you, I understand how that would feel like a really horrible fundamental betrayal. And a lot of the trans people who wind up hurt or killed, it's because they're pulling stuff like this. I think there's an acknowledgement, before you get mad at me about that, I think there's an acknowledgement that at least in recent decades, a lot of these people are sex workers or prostitutes, and they go out and sell themselves. And when you do that, again, I'm not interested in getting involved in your business, but you're deceiving people. And it's a pretty fundamental, you get somebody all worked up, somebody who's sexually aroused, and then they find out that what they thought they were going to be involved in is not what they're going to get involved in. You should expect a bad reaction. Hopefully no one will kill you or beat the heck out of you. I cannot say that I think that's all right. No, but I get it. I understand. And you should be smart enough not to put yourself in that situation. So all this data about, a trans day of visibility, you should be aware. You should be smart enough not to try to trick other people. And you're not the same. And this is the tough talk that needs to be said that no one else apparently is allowed to say or wants to say, but I'm willing to say. You're not a woman. If you have a penis and two testicles and you were born a male, no matter what makeup you put on, no matter how many performances of La Cage aux Folles or Kinky Boots or whatever show you're in, no matter whether you can elevate your voice and sing like a canary, you're not metamorphosizing into a woman. And somebody needs to be honest enough to tell you the truth. So it's interesting because Ghazala Hashmi, the little Ayatollah, the first statewide Muslim leader in Virginia, cue the applause. Apparently, we're all supposed to be so impressed by that and, so thankful that she's going to bring her wisdom to all of this. Yeah, there she is. There she is, not answering questions about dead people and, murdered actual women in Virginia, in the state capitol, and shoving the reporter out of the way. She really thinks she's better than you. She puts out a statement today about how she sees and respects trans people. I would really like to know, and I'm not trying to be a total jerk about it, but since no one else wants to ask, is she going to go to the mosque and lecture everybody at the mosque about trans visibility today? I mean, excuse me, I'm a gay guy. I'm asking, are you going to go to the mosque and tell everyone who's an adherent of your faith that they should respect and maybe sleep with, or, not throw trans people off of buildings? I mean, is that what you're going to do, or are you not going to do that? Or are you just going to virtue signal on Facebook, but then the first Muslim leader in Virginia doesn't really have the guts to go talk to people who are disinclined to respect gay people and trans people? You're just going to do it where it's safe, but not in other places. I, on the other hand, go everywhere. I go to the mosques, I go to the synagogues, I go to the temples, I go to Liberty University, I go to the evangelical churches. I'm straight up honest about who I am. You can like it. You don't. I mean, if you don't like it, okay, that's your decision. Certainly up to you what you do with your vote. I just feel like this lady is so shady and so deceptive, and no one has the guts to ask her a question. But she sure will virtue signal on Facebook. So somebody let me know if she's stopping by the mosque tonight to remind everybody in the Islamic faith that today is Trans Day of Visibility. I'll wait. You let me know if that's happening. I don't think we're going to see much of that here. But Democrats are all in for it. They're all in on this gender ideology. And I don't think it's because they really care about people. I think it's because they know that the society is on the verge of collapse if you can't tell the difference between a man and a woman, and everybody else who's ever lived on the planet doesn't seem to have that problem. You're collapsing the society. It's a big problem. And, I'm still thinking about the No Kings situation from over the weekend. Have you noticed it's grown now? It was 8 million people on Sunday, and then by the time they started publishing all the data yesterday, it was 9 million people. So, wow, between the time it ended on Saturday and yesterday, 1 million more people were counted. Amazing, right? Just 1 million more people around the country. 3,000 events all across the country. Such a great success. Does that surprise you? It doesn't surprise you. You're getting played. You're getting played by the organizers. This is not organic. This is a group of people who have been working for months to try to create events at different There'll be another one right before the election in November. You can count on that. It's not organic. Now, I acknowledged yesterday, if you can get however many millions of people out to do different events, there's a palpable issue within the population of the United States that, especially if you're someone like me and you'd like to have a peaceful, prosperous society for everybody, you better get a hold of what that is. So I asked the question yesterday on the Reid Revolution Facebook page. I said, tell me exactly what motivated you to go march in the No Kings march. And most of the people who responded simply said they hate Trump. Okay. I didn't like Biden. I really wasn't a big fan of Barack Obama. Wasn't a big fan of Bill Clinton. I just don't take my Saturday and go march against someone that's kind of fundamentally, hopefully, I mean, my goal is that the government is totally irrelevant in your life. You're not begging for permission. You don't have to show your little vaccine card. You don't have to jump through hoops. I would like for you to have to pay as little in taxes as possible so that you can do with that money whatever you want. I mean, I guess you want to go smoke weed, go smoke weed. Again, I think that's a pretty stupid thing to do, but it's your money. You go buy a car, invest it, do with your money what you want to do. Take care of your family. Maybe that should be one of the priorities. But I want government out of your way. So I'm not going to go spend a Saturday protesting Barack Obama or Joe Biden. I'm just not going to do that. But here's an answer that I thought was interesting, and I'd like to share it with you and respond to it. and it was full of specifics. I think the specifics are really warped, but let me share with you. Um, Maybe a country that employs secret police to round people up based on race and ships them to concentration camps, invades other countries on a whim, kidnaps presidents of other countries, attacks others in the middle of negotiations, kills fishermen for sport, bombs elementary schools, destroys water desalination plants and civilian oil refineries, torpedoes unarmed ships in international waters and leaves the survivors to drown, blockades all fuel from a country to precipitate likely mass starvation, and dedicates its Justice Department to protecting an international sex trafficking ring is a country that needs regime change. That's why we marched. All right. Hey, listen, I actually appreciate that you were able to put on paper the reasons that you went out there. And if you were a dumb person and you weren't actually following the news, or you were just getting snippets of the news from NBC and CBS and ABC and CNN, you might actually believe this. I mean, do we have secret police? Do we have secret police? Is ICE, is Immigration and Customs Enforcement secret police? I I mean, they're wearing masks because you're trying to kill them, or people in your midst, maybe not this person, people in your midst are trying to kill them and harm their family. So yeah, they're wearing masks, but they're all identified. Um, they're hired by the federal government. I mean, this is not something where you have a group of people, I don't know, like George Soros perhaps, who funnel money to some group to raise hell in the middle of the streets, and you can never really figure out who's funding it. And you can't trace the money back. We know exactly who these people are. So I don't think we've got secret police, and it's Immigration and Customs Enforcement. What would you like? How would you enforce the immigration laws? Or would you not? And I think the answer would be you would prefer not to enforce the immigration laws. Well, I mean, I don't have to negotiate with you over the law that's been on the books for 40 years. Do I? Am I supposed to negotiate with you? You let me know, because then I'll negotiate with you about what taxes I'm going to pay this year. If you get to say that the law really doesn't count and that certain people get to stay because you're emotionally connected to them, let me know, because I will go through the laws that I'm not particularly fond of, and we'll negotiate me no longer being responsible for those things. I don't, it doesn't work that way. So are they rounding people up based on race? No, they're rounding people up specifically based on their immigration status. And I know you may be race obsessed, and you are not willing to accept that the door was open, the gate was open on the southern border, and thus people from Central and South America flooded the country, and many of those people happen to be different shades of brown. I don't know what to tell you about that. That's not rounding people up based on race. There are millions of people who are black and brown and Asian and other ethnicities who live in America who manage to obey the law and live here lawfully. So, again, if you want to say it's based on race, you can say it, but that's not true. Are we shipping them to concentration camps? No. What is a jail a concentration camp? Is a prison a concentration camp? If you're being processed through deportation. So which is it? Do you want a facility that's planned and humane, that provides you with food and water and shelters you from the heat and the sun and the cold and the rain and the snow? Or would you like for everybody just to sit out in a field someplace? I mean, this is political immaturity, and it's designed to inflame people emotionally. And I think that's a big problem. Are we invading other countries on a whim? No. We told Iran, we're not going to let you get a nuclear weapon. And they insist they're going to have a nuclear weapon. So my opinion is that we put you on notice. We're not prepared. I don't know about you. I'm not prepared to be blown up by Iran. I'm not going to allow, I don't want that to happen. I don't want New York City to be hit with a nuclear weapon and to hear Allah Akbar very excitedly watching millions of Americans burn in New York or Los Angeles or Chicago or Washington. I think that's a pretty big priority. I think it's also should have been a priority 40 years ago, to stop the radical jihadists who are funded by Iran from killing Westerners. I think that's pretty important. So I'm sorry if you think this is invading other countries on a whim. I don't think that that's what's happening. I think we've been very clear about that. Kidnapping the presidents of other countries. We've got a communist leader who is trying to assassinate Donald Trump in Venezuela. Am I making that up, or you just weren't paying attention to the news? I, you know, I don't know what to tell you. If I were Donald Trump, if I were the president of the United States, I would not tolerate people doing this, where they're trying to kill Americans, where they're running drugs into America and killing Americans. How many years are we going to allow that to happen? How many Americans are you willing to let die so that you feel good about yourself? Uh, we have a different value judgment on that. Killing fishermen for sport. Is that what you think's going on? Killing fishermen for sport? I don't think that's what's happening. You've got drug runners who are bringing illegal drugs into America, and people are dying. So, again, what's your value judgment? That we don't kill those people? We don't stop the drugs from coming in? How passive can you possibly be? How many Americans are you okay with dying before we do something about that? And what exactly would you have them do? Stand there with a little flag and say, please pull over and let's look at your boat? And then they pull out a machine gun and we have a bunch of dead American military people? I mean, this is a very, very potent and emotional and immature assessment of our American foreign policy. And quite frankly, it is geared only to be critical to Donald Trump and Republicans when they're in the White House. And then if Democrats do the exact same thing, there's not a word said about it. I've been around long enough and I'm paying close enough attention to call it out. So I appreciated the person taking the time to write this out. It was great to see what the concerns were, but I'm going to take the time to discredit your perception or your spin on what's happening and say you wasted a beautiful Saturday screaming about a king that doesn't exist. And I'm all for Donald Trump taking out anybody like the Ayatollah who's trying to kill Americans. I'm going to side with Americans before I side with the criminals who want to kill us overseas. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, I got some tickets to give away to the Virginia Forum. David Harsanyi is speaking on Wednesday night at the Glen Allen Cultural Arts Center, so I'll tell you about that when we return. And I've got the president of the Hampton-Sydney College Republicans with us to talk about young people, how they're perceiving both the election last year and this special election. I'll be at Hampton-Sydney tonight speaking to students on that campus in Farmville. So all of that and a lot more to talk about as we continue on this Tuesday edition of the Reid Revolution.
Republicans and Democrats work together to get politicians out of the business of picking their own voters. 2/3 of Virginians voted for this fair and balanced process. Now, career politicians in Richmond want to end the nonpartisan process and draw rigged congressional maps for friends. They want to end competitive elections in Virginia and silence your voice. That's more than unfair. It's an undemocratic power grab. Vote no on partisan gerrymandering by April 20.
Hope you will vote no coming up between now and April 21st. I think it's pretty important if you want to keep politicians accountable and you want to make sure that you're fair to other people across the state who may or may not agree with everything you believe in. Now, how's that playing with the newest citizens to the country, people who are about to turn 18 or just turned 18? Maybe this will be their first vote. Drew DeMeglio is the president of the Hampton-Sydney College Republicans and is with us. I'm looking forward to seeing you this evening, Drew. How you feeling about things?
Absolutely. Likewise, looking forward to see you. Thank you for coming out to Farmville. Right now, what I'm seeing is a lot of energy on the vote no side for these young Virginians, not just at Hampton-Sydney, but at other colleges. Listen, we paid attention. Young people really pay attention to what people say What Governor Spanberger said on the campaign trail last fall is that she had no plans to do redistricting this spring, and
Right.
she has blatantly lied about that because she has supported and signed this redistricting, and young voters hate being lied to. So I'm seeing a lot of motivation to go out, knock doors. We've already had two door knocking Saturdays, and we're looking forward to have more. And I hope tonight you'll see the energy on campus here at Hampton Sydney.
Yeah, I'm excited about coming. I've done a lot of college visits in the last year when I was running statewide. People told me, don't waste your time going on college campuses. And I rejected that. I thought it was important to talk to people who were 17, 18, 19 years old, um, to show respect to the newest voters and to share my agenda. And I think I was one of the few candidates who regularly did that for an entire year, going around to different campuses. One of the things that did impress me was that this younger generation, and you can pick apart any generation you want to, old people, young people, middle age, whatever, call them boomers, whatever. But one of the things that I thought was positive was a commitment to fairness and this sense of justice. Now, how you accomplish that and where you render it is pretty important. But tell me whether you think, as you talk to your classmates and as you travel around in this circle of friends on other campuses, whether the perception is that the gerrymandering plan is fair because it balances out what supposedly Donald Trump is doing in other states, or is it unfair because it stomps on individual people and individual votes in Virginia? You know where I am on that issue, but what are you hearing?
Yeah, no, I'm hearing a lot about the fact that this is completely unfair. I've had students come and say, "Don't mess with my district." They're really upset with because we get a lot of people from all across the state of Virginia, and Hampton Sydney itself is going to be looped in from the current Republican district to a Democratic leaning district with a portion in that district 3 miles from the state capitol in Richmond. I don't think students here feel that much in common with 3 miles from the state capitol in Richmond. So they're looking at that. They're looking at the facts of what this redistricting is, and they're seeing that's blatantly unfair. And to some people who are like, oh, well, didn't Texas redistrict? I'm pointing out the fact that other states, other Republican states, actually, like Indiana, have chosen to not redistrict mid-decade. So we don't have to follow this partisan fight. We can rise above the fray, and we can choose to preserve fairness and to uphold the will of over 60% of Virginians that voted to vote for the bipartisan redistricting commission in 2020. We can continue that, and that's why I'm pushing so hard for the Vote No campaign.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you're out talking to folks because I think it's very easy to get sucked into this leftist mindset that it's fair because ultimately it gives us what we want. And that's intellectually dishonest when people reach that stage. I mean, look, if we keep the maps as they are right now, Drew, I don't know whether my congressman, who I like very much, Rob Whitman, will be reelected. I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to be a tough race for him. I'm happy with him. I think he's made the right decisions. He's certainly responsive to me and to the people that I know, including Democrats. So I hope he'll be reelected, but that's not guaranteed. Same with Jen Kiggans down in Virginia Beach. I really like her. She was very supportive of me, even when other people in Virginia were not. When I was running for office, she seems very open-minded to me. She's conservative, but she seems very open-minded to me. I hope that if people are actually paying attention, that they'll return her to Congress. I think that would be smart, both of those people representing military interests, which are important to Virginia. But it's not guaranteed. And if I had an opportunity as an elected official to guarantee, without any doubt, by drawing some lines that were unfair, that they would be returned to Congress, I think you have to be disciplined and intellectually honest enough to say, am I becoming the very thing that I don't like? And I'm glad that you're able to share that because I get the impression on a lot of campuses, there are not many people who are willing to speak up. At Hampton Sydney, do you feel like it's a free speech zone or is it kind of oppressive like other schools?
Hampton Sydney is a wonderful campus. The free speech environment here is remarkable. We are celebrating our 250th anniversary. We are steeped in the tradition of the First Amendment. We were founded as a opposition to the King's College in William and Mary. So, no offense to any
Right.
William and Mary students, but we're the college of the American Revolution. We had Patrick Henry and James Madison on our founding board. And I'm going to bring this up in my talk tonight, but I'd like to bring this up. James Madison at the Constitutional Convention warned against gerrymandering. He warned against politicians drawing in favor of their position or their side lines that would favor them unfairly. And he is rolling in his grave for this completely unfair redistrict of his home state and of his home college here in Hampton, Sydney, that he proudly served on the founding board.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited about being with you this evening, and it sounds like you've done your homework, so I can't wait to hear what you have to say to the assembled attendees tonight at Hampton Sydney in Farmville. Drew DeMeglio is the president of the College Republicans at Hampton Sydney, and I will report back how things go tomorrow on the show. Thank you, Drew.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Now, real quick, before we take a break, I want to give you the opportunity to get a pair of tickets to the VIP reception and speech by David Harsani, the columnist for the Washington Examiner, who is the speaker at the Virginia Forum on Wednesday night, tomorrow night at the Glen Allen Cultural Arts Center. So shoot me a note and say Virginia Forum. He's going to be talking about the history of gun rights and gun oppression in the United States. It's very potent given all that the Democrats are doing. So shoot me a note at the reidrevolution@gmail.com, the reidrevolution@gmail.com. Give me your name and your guest, and let's say the 10th person who emails at the reidrevolution@gmail.com will give you a pair of tickets to the VIP reception and to the Virginia Forum speech tomorrow night. I'll be there interviewing David and Philip Van Cleve, also from the Virginia Citizens Defense League, tomorrow at the Glen Allen Cultural Arts Center. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back in just a moment, talk to Dr. Torsten Trey. Can you believe that we're in this situation where people are actually having their organs harvested without their consent? Overseas, that doesn't surprise me, unfortunately. God, if you actually studied all the awful things that are happening under totalitarian regimes overseas, it is pretty stunning. But there's also the suicide movement, the euthanasia movement that is gaining traction in North America. And we should be paying attention to that because they're harvesting people's organs after they become so confused and upset about their life that they end their lives, and we should be paying attention to it. We'll talk about it when we return here on the Reid Revolution.
Here in Richmond, our freedoms are under attack. The Democrats are ramming through a redistricting referendum, redrawing the congressional maps that shift a fair 6-5 representation to 10-1 in their favor. Rushed ahead of this November's election, it's a clear power grab. Your vote no is important. Virginia, we can't afford to sit this one out. So by April 21st, get out and vote no for fair representation. Vote no to defend free.
You're going to hear that a lot between now and April 21st. I hope you're paying attention. Vote now. Go to the early voting places all across the Commonwealth and make sure you cast your vote no if you want to be fair to yourself and to your neighbors. No guarantee anybody's going to win under the current maps. You know, it's pretty competitive here in Virginia. It's a 6-5 setup right now. And if the Democrats are successful jamming this through, it's likely to be 10 Democrats, 1 Republican in a state where 47% of the people routinely vote Republican. Does that seem fair to you? Don't be fooled by these liars. And I'm sorry to be the one to have to say it, but they're lying to you. We should call them out on it. Dr. Torsten Trey is with us. He's one of the founders of the group Doctors Against Forced Organ Harvesting. And Dr. Trey, I appreciate you joining us. Tell me where this is becoming a big issue. Oh, wait a second. Torsten's not here? Producer Dan, hold on. Did that get messed up?
Not until
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
2 p.m. 2 p.m. is when.
Well, we won't be able to do
Portia will
that
be
then.
with us. Yeah,
We won't
Oh,
be able to
okay.
do that. So, yeah. Okay. Well, you know what? Let's go to our final segment then.
Okay,
If we need
fair
to.
enough.
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry about that. The best and worst of the internet with producer Dan. How you feeling today?
I'm feeling okay. The weather is getting warmer out there. It's feeling a lot like spring, looking a lot like spring. My yard looks fantastic right now. I'm so excited for all the work that goes into keeping a yard looking nice during this time of the year. It's finally starting to pay off. When I go outside, it's like, wow, everything is so green. So I'm excited for that until summer comes along and everything dies. Yeah, but that's such as life. But yeah, so. Well, let me get started here with what I have to share with you. Where would you like me to start here? Is the question?
Well,
I would
let's just
say.
throw some stuff up and see what you got.
Let's throw some stuff up.
Best and
So-
worst of the internet, and curating this every day is not really that difficult. It's difficult to pick what we don't show you because
That's
it's either
true.
too crazy, or it would take up too much time. I mean, I just can't believe, and this is what your kids are seeing on a regular basis.
Yeah, our last guest was talking about William and Mary, my at least law school alma mater, as the King's College. Well, who knew that the former Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth, the late Queen Elizabeth, was such a good dancer. Evidently, she could really get her groove on, and as this video shows here.
So that's it looks like that room that she would be in signing all the papers at Buckingham Palace. It's kind of that inner city
Somebody
dancing.
has too much time on his hands.
Well,
This is something.
you know what? There are probably more people who will see this video of Queen Elizabeth dancing than watch the Super Bowl. I mean, that's one of the things that I'm discovering is that the best stuff, and I don't mean that it's necessarily good, but it's the stuff that everybody's paying attention to on the internet winds up getting more attention than what we would generally say is one of the most watched events in the world. You know, give something a month. By the time it goes viral and it travels around the world, a lot of people see it. It's interesting today. I knew this was happening. I helped kind of grease the skids for Queen Elizabeth to come to Virginia for the 400th anniversary of the founding of Jamestown.
Yeah.
And, it was really, everybody assumed that she would do it, but it was kind of reminding people, please make sure. And I did this years before the event in 2007 when I was working in the Senate, and I was making friends with people at the embassy. Like, remember, he got Jamestown coming. Is this on your calendar in more than invisible ink or in pencil? So it appears, based on the announcement that was made by Buckingham Palace just this morning, that King Charles is indeed going to come to the United States at the end of April is he going to be celebrating, you think? The Revolution, the American Revolution, is the King of England.
Yeah, it's odd. It's odd that would be the case, I think. But
He ain't coming on July 4th. He's coming in April. And presumably he'll be celebrating the special relationship between these two countries. And it is one of the things, I don't want to go heavy on us because we've probably got some silly stuff still to talk about, but it is one of the things that gives me some hope that the brutality and the horrible things that happened during the American Revolution. I mean, people weren't nice. The atrocious slaughter of British people and the new Americans during that war. I guess there are a couple of movies that have portrayed this realistically. People locked in buildings and set on fire. Just awful, awful stuff. If we can reach a place where, 150 years after the American Revolution, we were friendly with Great Britain. And today you have the king coming, and his mother came for the founding of Jamestown. If we can, and we've had a special relationship for many, 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 many decades, that gives me hope that it's possible, if you've got people who really want to try to get along, that you can create a better society where people put aside abuses of the past. But you got to have people who want to do that. It's like the slavery issue here in the United States. It was real. It was awful. I'm not whitewashing it. I'm not pretending it didn't happen. You're not going to hear me say, "Oh, well, it was all okay because somebody needed to farm cotton and tobacco." No, I mean, it was an awful institution, and we stopped it. And I think we should be proud that we stopped it. And it doesn't do us any good if we go forward in this century beating up people who had nothing to do with slavery, or rewarding people who weren't the victims of slavery today, and tearing ourselves apart with an argument over things in the past. That's not healthy. That's not healthy for a relationship. It's not healthy for a family. It's not healthy for an institution, and it's not healthy for a country. And again, I come back to, why are we doing it? Because I think there are people who know how damaging it is, and they want to bring down the society. And this is one of the ways they do it, is find something that people feel very strongly about and use it to undermine peace and tranquility and stability and harmony. And I hate to say, they're winding up being pretty successful, and we shouldn't allow that. Anyway, that went serious after Queen Elizabeth dancing. What else you got?
Let's see. There's someone out there who wants us all to know that she is absolutely refusing to date anybody who has anything to do with MAGA. And I got to tell you, I think there are going to be a lot of heartbroken maggots
Oh
out there.
boy!
So yeah,
here we go.
Okay, but like, I literally would not date a MAGA guy,
Really?
even if my life depended on it. I can't. The vibes are toxic, and I have standards.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And if that makes
clearly.
you mad,
yeah.
good. Stay mad.
Yeah.
Maybe
I'm
unpack
not.
why basic human rights are a deal breaker for you.
Oh wow.
I'm not lowering the bar just because you're loud in my comments.
I don't know.
It's
about
a
you,
real
John.
loss.
Well, I kind of do know about you, John, but I'm devastated. I'm just heartbroken that I guess I'm just.
I mean,
not,
what kind of
my
a
chances are
delusional
gone.
person posts that, wearing a mask, you freak show, with blue hair, with a trans flag and a rainbow flag? I mean, I didn't even freeze frame. I don't have time to freeze frame it, zoom in to see probably the chicken bones and the garbage and trash that's stacked up on the desk behind that person, who I'm assuming it's a woman. I think it's a biological woman who may be like a they them, or somebody who's insisting that they're non-binary. You're a freak show, and I'm so sorry to be the one. Someone who loves you should tell you that. I don't love you, so it sounds mean when I say it. But someone should tell you you're a weirdo, and you maybe you've got legitimate political viewpoints, but I'm just never going to take someone like that, who clearly is a whack job, seriously. I'll talk to him and I'll try to be polite, but you're a crazy person to behave that way.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what somebody like that is. What this is harsh. I admit this is harsh, but what does somebody like that see when she whatever looks in the mirror? Does that person really think that?
Yeah, you're going to withhold sex as a bargaining chip?
I mean, I'm
okay.
sorry.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? Go knock yourself out in the corner and check back in about 10 years and tell me how many people have been manipulated with that. I'm kind of stunned. But you know what? That used to be a very rare thing to encounter, someone who presents themselves that way. 10, 15 years ago?
Yeah.
Occasionally, if you went to Starbucks, you'd see somebody who was a weirdo like that. But it wasn't mainstream. Now we have mainstreamed the weirdness, the bizarre behavior, and I'm puzzled by that, because I think most people do want to have sex, right? I mean, most people are kind of motivated by, we'll put it in a nice way. They want to have relationships. They want to have relationships. Is that person having a relationship? And what's going on with the person who would pair with you? I don't say you don't have to wear a nice green tie and a jacket like me. You don't have to have a haircut like me. You don't. I mean, you don't have to emulate. I have one look and way I present myself, and for some people it's very appealing. For other people, it's not. Okay, whatever. You don't have to emulate, the Richmond prep school look. I'm not saying that,
Sure.
but that's just so bizarre. What do you think you're doing there?
Yeah.
Weird. All right.
Yeah, totally. Well, something that I think is much more elegant would be a video that is premiered about, I guess, the mock-up video of what the Trump Presidential Library is going to
Oh,
look like.
yes. Let's take a
And
look at that.
this is
this real?
true. I hope so. Didn't Eric himself post it? I think
Eric
Trump
posted it, and it wasn't on April Fool's Day, so I assume
No, but it in a lot of ways it's kind of exactly what you would expect from President Trump. It's stunning. Here you go.
Wow. This is in Miami, on the water in Miami.
Definitely Florida.
It's got the red, white, blue tower. It looks like the tower in New York, the World Trade Center. Trump in 30-foot lit up letters. So is the thing an office building with a museum in the basement, or on the first few levels? Is that what we're looking at here? Oh, that's very dramatic.
Yeah. Well, wait till you see some of the inside.
Oh, it's got
that's
this
gonna be
garden on the rooftop. An Air Force One. Now, why are they using that seal? That's not the presidential seal. That seems weird. But look at that, Air Force One. That's cool. Similar to the Reagan one on the West Coast. The Reagan one. The golden escalator, reminiscent of Trump Tower in New York. Oh my God, are you serious? Is that
Yeah,
a
look
Trump,
at
golden Trump statue?
Of course, a ballroom. You gotta have a ballroom.
A huge ballroom, just like the one at the White House. A replica of the
Oval Office.
very ornamented Oval Office. Lord Almighty. Well, that's pretty cool. Look, you compare
it's
that
impressive.
to the Obama one that opens in 2 months, 3 months, in June, I think. I haven't been in it. I don't know what the displays will be. I would think that Obama has so much money, and everybody who's an artist wants to work for Obama. So I would think he would have the best craftsmen and artisans and theatrical people working to make himself look good. But that building in Chicago looks like hell, man. I mean, it looks like an East German a gun turret on the Berlin Wall. It's an awful looking building. And even the people I know who love Obama, who have any interest in architect, the same people who are beating up on Trump about the ballroom, they hate that thing. Now, I don't know what it's going to be like on the inside. Maybe it'll be beautiful on the inside. But that is amazing. That
Joyce in the
Trump
chat
people-
referred to the Obama Presidential Library as looking like a Star Wars box.
It does. It's kind of
what that means. But
it
is
looks
very
like it's
futuristic looking or something. Or
It looks like it's a part of the Death Star that has come to the United States. It's brutalist. It's ugly. It makes you feel small. I would think, remember how Obama won? Obama won with that whole hope thing, which I don't think was true. But that's how he won, was, I'm going to heal the country, racial unity, and we're going to put everything in the past. I didn't vote for Obama.
With his face plastered all over these ads. For anybody who thinks that Donald Trump's own self-promotion is somehow something new.
No
Look,
kidding.
do you not remember what happened in 2008 with this guy? I mean, talking about curing all the ills and whatever of the world if you just elect him president?
Good point.
The sea level will change because you elected him president. I mean, come on.
Yeah, there was no modesty on the part
No.
of the President Obama himself or his team. That's I'm glad you brought that up, because they make it a big deal out of Trump's got banners with his face on it outside of federal buildings. Obama had banner. Everybody was hanging banners. I was in D.C. at the time that Obama was elected. There were 30-foot banners in the lobbies of law firms. Welcome, Mr. President. Welcome, welcome. It's the Obama era. I mean, come on. I've never seen anything like it in my entire life, having gone to a lot of inaugurations and seen a lot of presidents come and go. Everybody was bowing down to him, and they loved it. And once Trump gets elected, kind of like George W. Bush, kind of like George H.W. Bush, kind of like Ronald Reagan, there is a core group of people who they are determined to make life miserable for the Republican and anybody who supports him. So, you like Obama, you can bomb the hell out of all these different countries. You can deport millions of people. They won't say one word if you're a Democrat. But as soon as a Republican does it, all hell breaks loose. It'd call out the hypocrisy here. Put up a banner. Well, that's a good one. I liked that.
It's a very impressive video. I hope that the real thing turns out to look like that.
Wonder how much that building's going to cost. And I've got to believe that it's not just all the museum. Building like that and knowing Trump.
Yeah,
I bet you Trump charges people a premium to have their office in Trump Tower Museum, right? Because he's not stupid. That's how he's going to make money.
He basically had to vacate from New York and has kissed New York goodbye, understandably so. So,
did you see those jerks flipping off Trump Tower?
No,
they're so clever. Over the weekend, they're so clever. They got their little cell phone, and then they put their middle finger up in front of Trump Tower. I'm like, oh wow, how classy are you? What a genius thing did you really show Donald Trump? He's got a building that's worth $1 billion in Midtown Manhattan, but you're stepping over human feces on the sidewalk with your Muslim mayor, and flipping him off. Okay, explain to me who the winner is and who the loser is. It's just ridiculous.
All right, on that note, I'm going to play one more video for us if we have time. And they're mad at President Trump for basically saying the same sorts of things that all of these Democrats in the 90s were saying themselves. And I got the video to prove it. So here we go.
All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country.
Our immigration policies are a shambles, plain and simple. And right now, our borders are amazingly porous to people who shouldn't be here, such as terrorists, drug smugglers, etc.
If you break our laws by entering this country without permission and give birth to a child, we reward that child with U.S. citizenship. And we wonder, in this country, why we have an illegal immigration problem.
Wow.
Unlawful immigration is not acceptable.
We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws. It is wrong and ultimately self-defeating for a nation of immigrants to permit the kind of abuse of our immigration laws we have seen in recent years, and we must do more to stop it.
Wow, really amazing. Golly.
There you have it.
What they've done a 180 on every important issue here. And they vilify you and they vilify me and anybody who suggests, hey, maybe we should tap the brake here and maybe we should obey the law. We're the worst people ever for saying that. No. And look what they were saying just a couple.
I'll put it even more simply than that. They're vilifying us for saying, hey, you know something? You got a point there. I mean, we're telling, if we say, hey, we agree with you. I mean, that's the irony of it all, the hypocrisy.
Isn't that crazy? Gosh. Isn't that crazy?
They all were saying exactly the same sorts of things that he's saying, and I think just because he was a Republican candidate with an R behind his name, he's like, oh well, then you're Hitler.
And because they figured out, Dan, that illegal immigration was their ticket towards throwing representation.
That's right. I mean, it's just that.
And increasing the welfare state, which gives them more power. It's those two issues
that we hold over people's heads to get their votes. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you found that. Hey, that was a good one.
Yeah, it was just I had it on the standby there if we needed it for something. But yeah, with the conversation that came about Trump.
All right, well, let's end with that one. That was I mean, that's really instructive, and it should give for those of you who feel like, oh wow, I want to be a good person, and everybody's saying I'm so racist and awful. Look at that. You're getting played. You're getting played. You're having your best instincts and your good instincts used against you to take over your own country and to harm you and your family. Don't let them do that to you. And that exposes what frauds these people are. I've been consistent the whole way through. I bet you've been consistent the whole way through. Don't let these people manipulate you. All right. Well, listen, when you talk to Dr. Trey, who is going to join us about the organ harvesting, Dan, I have to go. So I apologize for that. And, we've shifted the time here and I miscalculated on that. So is Dr. Trey there?
No, I was able to let him know that we had
Okay.
a scheduling snafu that we'll be scheduling for later in the week.
So I feel bad about that. I hate to do that to people. I used to hate it at the radio station and I hate it here too. But there's just something I can't change that's coming up right now. So,
all right.
And I should have let you know that too, producer man. I'm sorry to put you in that
okay.
spot.
We're rolling with the punches. It's all right.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
I'll excuse myself here. Let you close out the show.
Very good. So I hope you will send me a note if you'd like 2 free tickets to the VIP reception and the speech for David Arsani on gun rights in America and the history of guns in America tomorrow night at the Glen Allen Cultural Arts Center. It starts at, the speech starts at 7 o'clock. The VIP reception is at 6, presented by the Virginia Council. It's the Virginia Forum tomorrow at the Glen Allen Cultural Arts Center. Shoot me a note at The Reid Revolution at gmail.com. And of course, we hope you'll follow us on both of our pages on Facebook, The Reid Revolution on X, Twitter, on Rumble and YouTube, and we'll see you tomorrow afternoon on The Reid Revolution. Have a great Tuesday.